So what do you do for a living?
I am a personal apprentice in the Air National Guard. It kind of equates to human resources on the outside. Yes, it was in my top 2 or top 3. Initially, I wanted to be a police officer or a makeup artist. So they're kind of different, but I grew up around my mother, who works in the Army as well as the Guard later in life, the Air Guard, and my dad was an active duty Air Force recruiter, so I learned to love the Air Force pretty quickly. The military when I was still in high school, just about to graduate, and so 8 part-time at Granite State to try to further my career and development, because being 28 I can retire now in my early 40s, so I'll have another career after that. English class right now, which I thought I was going to hate, but I actually really enjoy it. And I'm also taking a welding class on the side.
That's awesome, but that's all financed through the military, right?
The welding class isn't, but
right.
All of my academics are. I only have to pay for books and a $75 fee for a class. So I really love helping people. I don't know if it's being an older sister that I've always taken care of my family, but that's what I do all day is I help people through paperwork as far as benefits and pay, any other need that they could possibly have to get through their day. I work in the maintenance squadron, so they can all build aircraft, but they have trouble with all the other stuff, so that's what I Probably when a drill weekend comes around. Because I am full-time over there, I'm paid as an active duty member, so the guard is a little bit different. Typically it's 1 week in a month, but there's a small or full-time force that I'm a part of, so that ends up being 12 days in a row. So that's just taxing, but otherwise I love my job. I love the people I work with. I have a really great group of guys that I work with, so.
That's awesome. 12 days in a row is a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not typical.
Yeah. Active duty, like I said before, is the federal mission. You take orders from the President of the United States, and the Guard, any Guard, Army or Air, is federal mission as well as state. But beyond that, the active duty entails a lot more moving around. You stay at a base for 4 to 6 years, and then you transfer to another base depending on the needs of the mission. If they need more mechanics in one area for a certain aircraft, then you're forced to pick up and leave. So they have you more in a binding contract as far as travel goes than the Guard. The Guard, we are stationed solely where you enlisted, and they can't move you. They can deploy you for certain times, but they can't make you transfer to another base, make your family pick up and move. In 2006, and then I deployed to Qatar, which is in the Middle East, in 2017, supporting the war against ISIS.
So how was your time in deployment?
Guam is awesome. It's because it's a little tropical beach. Qatar is a little bit different. It's in between Saudi Arabia and the UAE, so the culture is a lot different as far as women's rights go and everything. So we didn't go off base too often, but that was an option. So I did enjoy the difference in culture. It was very interesting to see. But as far as my job went and the climate, I don't like the heat very much, so that was pretty hot. But I enjoyed my job. I logged and made sure I maintained all the combat sortie hours, and after so many hours, pilots get an award. So I made sure I maintained that.
That's awesome.
I initially wanted to be a Marine. My mom didn't like that. I wanted then maybe to go into the Army. My mom didn't like that either. She was in the Army. Both great branches, but she did not want her little girl going through those. Those are much more infantry based, and so I can't swim, so I didn't join the Navy. So it's like the Air Force. Terrified of what I thought it was going to be than what it was. I'm a mama's girl, and I was very scared to be away from home. I had never been away from home at that age, especially by myself, being newly 18. The experience is not great, but it's certainly not the worst thing. You hype it up a lot more in your head than what it is. I mean, you get yelled at every day, you get woken up at all hours of the night, so it's more mentally and physically draining than anything, but it's 8.5 weeks of that, and then you're done. So highly suggest, in this world of, how expensive college is, to look into any National Guard, whether it's Air, Army, I think the Marines may have a reservist component. If that's something that interests you at all, to look into. If you can do it 1 week in a month and go to school full time, it's really the best way to do things. They'll pay for it. Have your school taken care of, so I always try to push that on my sister, who has a lot of college debt now, but and personnel specifically, it's just like anything else, and especially the military, you have to have the personality type for it. Not everybody likes to push paper, as they call it. I enjoy it because we have a lot of different aspects of what my paperwork looks like, and making sure I'm keeping people's career in line and their pay taken care of, and just managing them makes me happy. So you have to have a certain personality, I think, for anything you do.